Hello. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Please give us a little emoji sign with a thumbs up or on the chat if you can properly see us and hear us. Thank you all for joining us. Chat. I see Edward is typing. Stop. Okay. Hello, Marcelo. Thank you, Edward, for the feedback. And so we'll give a couple of seconds so more people can join. A couple of seconds, minutes. Okay, we will be starting shortly. For those that are joining, just giving a couple of minutes so that everybody can join in, and that way we can give all the housekeeping and different types of information right up front. Well, I guess we'll start. We already have a few participants. So first of all, thank you all for joining us. I'm Ana Victoria Torres, Communications Manager at Wattsense. Today, our webinar is a product webinar and is a top 2023 features review, where we go through all the features throughout the year and we kind of like take a deeper and closer look at them and make sure that you guys probably haven't looked at certain features and take a really close look at them. And we also get a sneak peek into 2024 with new developments and what's coming up in our roadmap. I'm joined by Julien Herbin, our product director. Hi, Julien.
Hi. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi, Juan Ramon. Hola. So I'm going to start with some housekeeping, and I will also mention them on the chat. That way everybody can see them in case anybody joins later. But to start, just to introduce you a little bit of our software here on Livestorm, at the bottom of the screen to the right, you will see the polls tab. We have already submitted 2 polls that are live, and you can participate immediately. We really encourage you guys to participate on these polls. Get them out of the way. It's very important for us to have your feedback, and it gives us an idea of who's participating and what do they do with the Wattsense solution. So make sure to participate. And then next tab on the right, we have the questions tab. Very important, guys. Very important thing. So try to not use the chat to ask the questions. Really use the questions tab to ask all the questions, because we have the support team standing by with Justin and team. Probably some of you guys know them already. And only through the question tabs, they can answer, and you can also vote for the questions. So if somebody asks a question you really think it's interesting and you want to know the answer, you can vote, and this question will be bumped up. And that also gives us more visibility when we take a review of all the questions that were asked, those that maybe weren't answered during the presentation or during the webinar. We will send an email afterwards, and through this question tab is where we can do this. So the question tab, mostly for the questions that you see when you're watching the webinar, something that wasn't very clear, something technical, feel free to ask through this tab. At the end of the webinar, we will still have a questions and answers section. So if you forgot about something, there will be something at the end where you will have more of an interactive phase where you can answer questions, and Julien and some of the team will participate. So we won't miss that element, but feel free to always really use the questions tab. Next to the questions tab is the chat. So if there's any issues, if you need to give a little bit of more context to something, if you can't hear us, or if there's any other situation that arises, please use the chat for that. Another thing to mention, at the end of the webinar, you will receive an email from Livestorm with a link to the replay. So you can watch this webinar in case you need to go, something happens, etc., etc. It's only available for people that sign up. So in a few weeks or in a few days, the video will be available on our YouTube channel. So I also invite you to follow us on YouTube. That's it about with all my housekeeping elements. I will post these things on the chat. So just as little reminders, but that's it on my side. Now we can go and start with the real meat of the webinar and go with Julien.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for the introduction. Hello. So today we will review a bit of what happened in 2023. Before that, I will introduce where we are at Wattsense to start with. Next, we will move to 2024, and we will show what are our plans for the new year. And then I make sure we have a room for question and answers for 15 minutes at the end of the session. So first, a short intro about Wattsense. So where are we at Wattsense in this new year? So we are still a Siemens company. We have been acquired in October 2021. But we remain independent and we operate on our own by being attached to Siemens France. This means that we decide on the Wattsense roadmap in collaboration with the Siemens Building Product Department. As per the product, we distribute the same Wattsense product for different channels, but it's the same product. When it is sold by Siemens partners, it is referred as the Connect box. When it is sold by Wattsense partners, resellers, PropTech, and integrators, it is either the tower or the bridge. I will just pause here for a short intro about towers and bridges. So tower is the new name of what we called before the box, and bridge is the new name of what we referred as the hub. The main difference between the two is that with the tower, the data is stored on the Wattsense server, whereas with the bridge, the data stays locally. When it is stored on the Wattsense servers with the tower, you can do data visualization, monitoring, and we will go in the details of those capabilities. When it's with the bridge, it stays local. You can do redirection to your BMS, or you can get them to the internet through your own Ethernet IP network. Now, about the vision, the Wattsense vision. I used to say in 2023 that our mission was to make buildings more connected, to offer ways for new applications to enter a building, and to don't have to care much about the technical details in each building equipment, so that they can deploy the app for energy saving, monitoring, etc. This is true, but we believe that during this year, early this year, we will reach this mission, and we would like to move to the next step. And the next step for us, and this is really key for 2024, is about control. We want to democratize building management system for medium and small sized buildings. Make BMS affordable for the building owner or the installer. About Wattsense, what makes us? We are still 30 people, staff. We are based in Lyon, in France, with some people remotely, but all of them in France. We have 30 distributors, and I would like to thank them, in 15 different countries. And we start having a deployment of 5,000 devices, tower and bridges, installed across different countries. Now, let's go in the 2023 features. And to make this demo a bit nicer, I will use a scenario. Let's say that I am a facility manager employee, and I have in contract a building that has already a box, a Wattsense box, and does have a black cases. This Wattsense box is in a boiler room. It is linked to a boiler controller, wired. It has also some data from two temperature sensors in two flats, flat 1, flat 2, and they share the data to the box using wireless communication with LoRaWAN. And through the cellular network, everything goes to the Wattsense server. So this is as it is today. My mission for this demo is to show you what I've been asked to do as a staff employee. I need to add 2 radiator valves in each apartment because my company would like to control the heating supply in those apartments and make sure it doesn't go over the contract being passed with the social housing owner. I would like to implement a remote reading of the electricity meter too. And then I've been asked to study how to get the data from the box to my company servers. With 2 ways, either between the Wattsense server and my company web server via webhooks, or via from the box to my MQTT broker with what we call a box to cloud connection. So I will now share my screen and we go in the console. Here we are. So I'm connected to the Wattsense console as a facility manager. I will go in my box located here. I have access to a dashboard, and some of the features that I will show you today, some of them have been released already in the console. Some of them, like this new interface for the dashboard with full screen capability, are about to be released. So don't be surprised if you don't see them on your box. They will come very, very soon. And when I will talk about hardware features, they are in the process of being deployed as we speak. This week, we are releasing a major update of the box firmware, which will enable some of the newest features that I will introduce. So let's come back to the demo. So I have my box here. I see that there is a 4G connection that is good. It's in the social housing building. I can check my subscription. I can see that I have a large subscription. I still have some data points left, so I can add new properties. And I have one of the latest versions of the firmware provided by Wattsense. So that's good. I have some dashboard. I can see that I have some data from my LoRaWAN sensors. Here, I could display them on the second screen if I wanted. I have a view at the boiler room. Here, all fine. I also have access to graph. I can see the evolution of the temperature in one of the flat here, so that's fine. And I can see also an electricity consumption, so not of the building, it's a demo scenario. So this is a new feature that we introduced this year at Wattsense. In a graph for meters, you can show the interval. And we will show you the consumption in between this interval. So here I selected the energy, the electric energy from my meter, and I choose to see a daily consumption. I could also show a daily if I have some data that are worth it. And it's only about visualization, but I can turn this into what we call a virtual property. So virtual properties are properties that don't exist physically speaking. They are purely software properties that allows you to do some calculation and plot those properties in a graph. So it's only for towers, subscribers, or download the file in a CSV. So that's about it for the taking note of the building. Let's now go into the configuration. So I will add my LoRaWAN equipment. For this, I prepared an Excel file I will show you. So I'll go in the LoRaWAN bulk creation because I will create them in bulk. I have a file in Excel with some sensors. So I have an Adonis tick to gather the electricity metering remotely. And I have my two radiator valves here. I have the LoRaWAN identifier. I will upload this file. Okay, sounds good. So Wattsense detect and suggest me some of the codecs, so some of the equipment on the Wattsense side. I will help the software here. And here, what we added in 2023 is the possibility for some LoRaWAN equipment to specify a configuration file. And this configuration file is often something that is provided by the manufacturer here underneath, so it's configuration app. And we did this so that you can deploy maybe 25, 100 LoRaWAN equipment at once with the same configuration file in one click. This is also compatible with NKE, Laird, Eastron, Robo, and Axioma equipment. So now I'm creating the equipment, and my two underneath equipment, they will use this configuration file. The equipment has been created. I will now select the property and add them to my configuration. So here I make it easy, and I will select all for the sake of the demo. Here we are. My equipment has been added to my box, and I'm ready to go on site, switch on the LoRaWAN equipment to trigger the pairing. I will save the equipment and send it to the box. Meanwhile, just to add some comments on the LoRaWAN capabilities, we increased the LoRaWAN capability of the box this year to make the device use as much as possible the spreading factor 7. Why? Because when a LoRaWAN device communicates with the box, it uses what we call spreading factor. The closest we are to spreading factor 7, the less battery consumption it will take for the device. So that's why we are making those optimization in our LoRaWAN server. Another enhancement that we made on the LoRaWAN server is related to downlinks. So in LoRaWAN, to set a data point, you have to send what we call a downlink, a command to the device. In LoRaWAN, you have class A devices and class C devices. Class A devices, for most of the device, the way we handle the downlinks is that there is a queue, a last in, first out queue of one slot for each LoRaWAN class A device, which means that if you send two downlinks in a row to the same LoRaWAN device, the second downlink will be sent if the first one wasn't sent already. Okay, so this is important when you start doing some control with LoRaWAN equipment. However, with class C devices, we have a first in, first out queue of downlinks. There's just a temporization of 13 seconds between each downlink transmission. So these are some details, but they are worth having in mind when you start controlling your building with LoRaWAN equipment. And this could be the case here with my two radiator valves, so the micropet and the mClimate. And to make it easier to control the equipment in your building, what we did this year is that for very, very specific equipment, you can now go under the live data view, select the corresponding equipment, so here, micropet, for example, and set the temperature of the valve directly here. So here, if I will type 21 for 21 degrees Celsius, I will save it. And if my device was paired with the Connect box, we will compute the downlink and automatically send it to a device. So you don't have to care about which hexadecimal string you need to enter to make it work. You just pass 21 and it works. The same goes with your BMS. You can set up your BMS through Wattsense. You can just ask the BMS to write whatever temperature you want, and it will be sent to the device. this feature to be able to write a data point in a LoRaWAN device is only compatible for now with two devices, the MicroPelt MLR03 and the mClimate Wiki. We are adding new devices and new data points according to your feedback. So if you have any feedback, any request, any concrete use case when you want us to make this available for one data point, let us know and we'll be happy to study your request. Still about LoRaWAN devices, we have been adding some properties. So if you go under your properties for devices, you will see there are roughly two kinds of properties. There are the properties provided by the LoRaWAN manufacturer, as I am highlighting on the screen. And you have what we call system properties. System properties are the properties highlighted with a gear here. And we added two this year. We added the frame counter and the battery level. The frame counter is the number of frames seen by the LoRaWAN server as sent by your device. So it is important to make sure that your device is communicated well. And the battery level is an indication between 0 and 100 of the status of your battery. A quick note about the battery level. It follows the LoRaWAN specification, but this LoRaWAN specification has not been implemented yet by all LoRaWAN manufacturers. As of today, I wrote down that Adonis, MicroPelt, and XLEC are the ones that meet this requirement, and therefore you can rely on this system property. For the other manufacturers, I would more recommend to do with what they provide. Sometimes it's voltage, here for example, or sometimes they have their own battery level. That's the way it is for now, but I think in the future, more of them will go for the battery level, which for you is a big advantage because you can monitor this property through a gateway and make sure your LoRaWAN devices don't go out of batteries. Anyway, let's go back to the live data screen. We made some adjustment to the screen. So now, when you see a value of a data point, a property, this is refreshed in real time. So meaning that every time we will get a value sent by the device, it will go to the Wattsense server because I'm using a tower here, and it will be automatically displayed here. And you will see the timestamp here. And the timestamp could give you also an indication because we show the last value and the before last value. It can give you a good idea of the transmission period in between two readings. And the same goes in the dashboard. This is all refreshed automatically. So if you display this on the second screen, it will keep refreshing itself and the session is kept. So you don't have to log in over and over. Now let's go on the gateway. So if I come back to the demo scenario, I pre-set up my box, let's say, so my tower with my LoRaWAN sensors that I wanted to add, so I can go on site with them. It should be okay. But now I will check how to get this data sent to my company servers. For this, we will use what we call gateways. And we added new capability to the gateways. So if I take an MQTT gateway here, you will see new options, and this is really new. It will be available, as I mentioned, with the deployment of a new version. You can specify more options in the uplink topic. So you can customize the topic instead of having before one fixed uplink topic for every equipment, every properties. Now you can set it at the gateway level and say, I want my topic to be based on my equipment name, for example, and based on my property name. Therefore, when we will send a value to your server, we will follow this format and you will receive the data in the topic you specified. So if you want to follow a specific MQTT specification, at least in the topic naming, now you can. And the same goes with the downlinks. you can specify a generic link with the character hash, and we will read all the tree below Wattsense done in this example. So you could send Wattsense done /myequipment/setPoint and pass the new value. We will be capable of interpreting it and get the order through MQTT to the equipment. So this is new, and this will come with the new version. Another way you can get your data to your application is when you use data streams or webhooks. In this situation here, the data will go to the Wattsense server, and then it will go back to your server. This is different than what I previously shown with the MQTT. In this case here, I have an HTTP webhook connector. So a connector for a webhook is just a URL. You provide the URL of your application here. And you will say, I want to send to this URL everything corresponding to a specific event, a trigger, sorry. And here the trigger is to receive a value from a property. And I made the test earlier. I will try to show you. No, sorry. I don't have it. I think I closed the tab earlier, but I wanted to show you what it looks like on the application server, but I think I will let it experiment yourself. So this is another way of capturing the data server to server. So coming back to the demo, I have different ways of doing it. If I was a bridge user, I could set up a MQTT box to cloud, but I need to be capable of setting up my Ethernet IP network. If I am a tower user, I can use either MQTT box to cloud or data streams with webhook and also MQTT. You can also do MQTT with data streams. I will close the demo by mentioning two last things. The first one is a major announcement. It's difficult to demonstrate, but I hope you will take my words for it. Is that we finally made available data persistence when we restart the application, which means that when you have a gateway, a Modbus or a backnet gateway, and you redirect the value of a data point, before, when the box was restarting or there was an update of the software, the 0 value was sent to the gateway, so to the BMS most of the time, which was a problem for the BMS, and we understood it. So now we will, at the time the box will restart, we will send back the latest value before the box restarted to the BMS. So that you don't start from 0, you start with the latest value, and then at the next reading, you will have a new value, and so on. So this is a big announcement for us. And also another announcement that I would like to show you that will be available in this first quarter is plugins. So what are plugins? Plugins are a piece of code. So here you have a bit of Python code that you can load into the box, and this code will execute and write some outputs that you can use locally or remotely. And if this piece of code works on your laptop, then it will work in the box. That's the only condition. There's a bit of logic, and this is why it's not released yet. We have to document it to make it as clear as possible. It's only for specific users. But here, for example, I'm calculating a moving average temperature if I want to redirect it to my boiler controller. I can compute the average indoor temperature of my building, north exposure, south exposure, and send it to the boiler controller to get it an accurate indoor temperature. And you will see in your plugin you have the different properties, and you can monitor them as any other properties than in the console. So if I show you the plugin, average temperature, it just computes the average. It takes the last 2 hours of value and makes an average of it. Here we are. So this will be introduced in the coming weeks, the plugins. And that's it for the demo. I will come back to the presentation. So back to the presentation now, and I hope it works, and I hope I clicked on the right button.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Let's now look at what will come in 2024. So in 2024, we gave ourselves 4 objectives for this year. The first one, as I mentioned a couple of times in this presentation, is to move into the control and to launch a BMS solution. The second one is to make configuration straightforward, not only one-off configuration, but also bulk configuration to save you time. The third one is to keep the security and the reliability of our products quite high to the standard of the market and of the standard of web products, if I may say. And finally, the last one, to release a new box. Let's go in the details. When we mean that we want to launch a BMS solution, what do we mean? We want to make it possible in the console to edit schedules, to load those schedules in the box, and to trigger the behavior of some data points based on those schedules. And this is something we are already started working on, and that will be available in this year. The next item that we want to include in this BMS vision, so to say, is to link both, to link alarms and schedule. We want to let you the possibility to set up an alarm based on the condition and the scenario, of course, but also trigger it based on a specific schedule. Then we want to add automation. We want to make you capable of editing automation scenario using simple blocks in the console. We don't want to go on like some specific tools already do. We want to make it easier, more limited, we are aware, but easier for you to use to control your building. And through these automation blocks, we want to make it possible to edit specific alarms based on several data points if you really want to go this way, or to do some calculation and create new properties, for example, an EAQ indicator. This you could do it through this new solution. So this is what we mean by BMS solution. It will be available this year. We don't know yet the shape that it will take, if I may say. Will it be a new option on top of a tower, on top of a bridge? I don't know yet. We are studying it, and we will keep you posted in the year. When it comes to easing the configuration of the box, the operation, what do we mean? We've been doing a lot of work on our equipment database. We know the equipment database, we know that you like it. It's easy, you pick up devices, every properties is already there, it's already configured, but we think we are lacking something. We want to make it easy for you to search an equipment, so that you don't search equipment based on the product reference, but you can search an equipment based on your need. I need an indoor temperature sensor with ppm monitoring, then we will give you the devices, and then you make your call based on the different manufacturers. For this, what we are doing is that we include what we call semantic in the definition of each equipment. And for the people who are familiar with semantic, we choose to go for the BRIC standard, which is quite common in the building industry. And independently from this, in order to make it easy to configure your box, we want to provide you with bulk edition, especially for gateways, when you want to edit a Modbus gateway or backnet gateway, edit all the properties in one go directly from the console. This is what we are working on. About security and reliability, we want to add server backup for LoRaWAN. This to be able to do full replacement of a box with everything to install a new box and configure the new box remotely without having to extract things from the old box, etc. We want to add support for OAuth as part of a new API authentication. And I would say it's easier to say than doing on a daily basis, but this is what we are trying to do with the R&D team, is to keep a service level agreement of 99.95 with no breaches, no security breaches regarding the Wattsense infra. At last, a new box hardware for this year. We are working hard on it. A new hardware with a more integrated look for the electrical cabinet. It will also include natively a 110 230 volt power supply. It will allow to power a bus of 25 devices or less, conversely to 3 today. And it will include, a slot for later extension should we want to enhance the protocol we support. We will support the same protocols as we do today with the box. And if you want to extend it, it will take an extension, but we make it compatible from the start. And with this, that's all for me. Thank you for listening. Now we have time for questions. You can ask questions in the Livestorm tab, or you can open your mic and trigger your question, and we will be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm back. Thank you guys. Thank you, Julien, for that very thorough presentation. So if any of you have any more questions, feel free to submit it on the questions tab. We had a couple of questions already, literally 2. One from Marcelo. Are these features that were shown at the beginning just for the tower? So the support team and team literally answered with yes, these features require the data to be sent to our backend, which is not the case for bridges. So Edward also asked the difference between tower and bridge. He missed it at the start when you discussed it, and it's something that I think a lot of our users, sometimes early users, can get confused. Julien, if you want to repeat a little bit the difference of the bridge and the tower.
Yes, sure. So with the bridge, all the data stays locally. I mean, it won't go to the Wattsense server, meaning that if you want to make use of this data remotely, you need to get it to your web server, so to build literally your Ethernet IP network. If you want to use your data only locally to send it to a BMS, then the bridge is totally fine, no issues with that. The configuration is always done through the web console. The tower, on the other side, the data of the different data points go directly to the Wattsense server. And this is why I could show some of the features with alarm, dashboard, graph, etc. This rely on this data and is there for you. So maybe you need another application, maybe not, but at least you can use the console to do that. And for the configuration is the same. You do it through the console. Everything that you can do with the bridge, you can do it with the tower. So you can still do local redirection. The difference is really where the data of the different properties go.
Yeah, exactly. And to provide like a visual image, I always give the example of the names, so bridge and tower. So if you have a problem, differentiate them. Think bridge, like literally a gateway, a connection between a building and a platform or something. And the tower is more like, has more of a layout view and can collect the data and do information. So it has more of an overview vision, just like a little reminder visually. So that way you guys can remember to differentiate the products. Do we have any more questions? Anything else that you guys want to mention? Feel free to use the poll tab for questions. If not, then we'll wrap this up in a couple of seconds. Again, thank you so much for all the people that signed up and participated. You will get the replay at the end of the webinar via an email through Livestorm. We have Marius. Hello, Marius. It's one of our distributors. Which version is the right choice if only data from LoRaWAN sensors should be pushed to BACnet locally? So which version of the solution, either a bridge or a tower, is best for when using data from LoRaWAN sensors to be pushed to BACnet locally? I believe you can do it with both, but Julia, maybe you have more of an insightful.
Yeah, I think the bridge is totally tailored to your need. If you want to extend a BMS, a BACnet BMS with new data points without having to do any wiring in a building, then go for the bridge. It will totally answer your need.
Yeah, I think if people are trying to collect data and analyze data and have the alarm features and all the features that you presented, that's when you would need more of the tower, when you need all these other functionalities and features and the API, etc. But the bridge, you can still do LoRaWAN to BACnet and Modbus locally. So hope that's clear for you, Marius. Let me see. Thank you. Well, if there's no more questions, feel free also to sign up to our YouTube channel, Wattsense. You can find us there. Then you can find all of the webinars. And on our website, you will find forms for our newsletter. Those that are not a part of our newsletter, sign up because we have a lot of interesting information. We're doing campaigns on LoRaWAN, on reglementation, wiring issues, how to solve wiring issues coming up. So I think that will be very interesting for all of you. And thank you again for joining us. Thank you to the support team.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.